if Bill would have been a bank robber, I would have been a bank robber.
Yeah, right, because he inspired you and believed in you.
And it was about money that inspired me, and nice things.
There isn't a secret to success. There are different systems. And you know what? There's not just one route that you've got to follow slavishly. Different people have used different ways to find their pot of gold.
Look, I think everyone's got to make mistakes. I mean, you saw a man that never made a mistake, never made fuck all. Like, I'm not going to knock education, and I look back on it. I left school at 15, which was a massive mistake. I mean, I realise that now. I should have left at 14. Well, Einstein said if he was to come again, he would come back as a plumber.
Oh, did he say that?
Yeah, you didn't know that.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Okay.
And I've read lots of.
So I'm going to say, if I was to come back again, I'd come back as Einstein.
Welcome back to another episode of Success is a System, and I'm here with Charlie Mullins of Pimlico Plumbers, which Charlie sold for a fantastic 9-figure sum.
Yeah.
9-figure sum. What a dream, eh? And Charlie's been kind enough to invite us into his beautiful home in Westminster, right on the river. Stunning. So we appreciate your time. We appreciate you allowing us into your home, Charlie. And today we're going to spend the next 40 minutes or so trying to work out what systems Charlie adopted, where he came from, and how he became successful, and what he would recommend to other people to replicate that success for themselves. So thank you again, Charlie.
Yeah.
And thanks for the beer, by the way.
Yeah,
It was nice
lovely.
to,
Look, it's great that you're here, and rightly you said it's a dream home, something I could have never ever sort of thought would happen. Come from a similar background to yourself, brought up on a council estate or dragged up on the council estate. Very working class people. Had three brothers. Money was unbelievable tight, like many people. Certainly the background that where I come from is totally different from where I am today. And, I do believe that coming from a very much a poor working class background, it can help you. But then I'm sure that, people that can afford loads of money and send their kids to university and have a great life, that can also help you. So I think there's many ways to become successful, and I think it's a case of finding the route that sort of suits you.
Great, and that's sort of where we're at with Success as a System. It's saying there isn't a secret to success. There are different systems, and you know what? There's not just one route that you've got to follow slavishly. Different people have used different ways to find their pot of gold.
Yeah.
Something you said about earlier, and actually you can look at lots and lots of people and emulate different bits that they did to try and find your pot of gold.
Exactly.
And I know your story. You finished school at 15. Is that right?
15, yeah, left school 15. I mean, just to go back a little bit there on Mike. So first of all, I'm living in North London, Camden Town, rented accommodation, 3 brothers, mum and dad working class people, barmaid, cleaner, dad working in a factory, just moving boxes around. And all of a sudden there's a plumber in the area that everyone's talking about. He's got a motorbike, he's got a car, he's got loads of jewellery, he's got a lovely home, he's got loads of money, he's going on holiday, and everyone's talking about this guy, and they think he's a crook kind of thing. And he goes out in the middle of the night on his motorbike, which everyone said he was getting involved with drugs, but he was going out on emergency call-outs. And I got to know him, and he become my tutor, really. And from about 9 years to about 11, I worked with Bill Ellis, his name. And basically, I used to bunk off school and work with him for £2 a day plus
10p.
10p, yeah, £2 a day. And the greatest thing was he used to buy me like the dinner, egg and chips. Yeah, that was it. And 2 slices of bread and a cup of tea, and it was like wow. And he used to say to me, I'm not telling anyone to bunk off school, I'm not saying that at all, but, he used to say to me that you'll learn more off of me than, like many kids that didn't like school. So he used to bunk off school. I think my mum knew anyhow, but my dad definitely didn't know. I think my mum knew. And it was just like, working with Bill all day was well, there's so much like that he just taught me about.
Because I guess in addition to the plumbing, he's giving you, and you don't even realise it at the time. I think every day's a school day, whether you're in school or out of school. But he's probably inspiring you and giving you quotes and talking about politics and business and what you need to do. I mean, so you're being taught like intensely without realising.
Like life skills, but you know, I can't even remember what he taught me about plumbing, if I'm being honest. But that side of it just was fairly natural. You know, like all kids like messing about with tools and things like that. And you know, he must have taught me about the plumbing, but all day long he was just educating me. And you know, when we go and get stuff from the shop, how you behave in the queue, don't let people jump in on you, and just all the bits with it, and just like it was just something I'd never. You know, I had a father, but maybe it wasn't a father, I think, that could relate to me of how to become successful. When I look back on it, it's like, you know, and I just used to think, I used to admire him so much, and I think to myself, all I ever want to be is a plumber, you know, because he's got all these things. And often people say to me, you know, all the material things are not all in everything. And I say, yeah, you're right, but there's nothing wrong with being inspired because someone's got a good car or a nice house. And, you know, when I used to work in all the nice houses, all I ever wanted was to get a nice house or a better apartment. So I think what's out there is what inspires us. And, you know, I'm not into that. People say money's not you know, this, that, and it's all about happiness. Well, I can be happy and be poor, and I can be happy and be rich. And, you know,
you'd rather be rich.
Yeah.
I've said to people before that, look, money isn't the be-all and end-all. And actually, the older I get, the more I realise it's the simple things that I like. However, I've never had an argument with my wife about having too much money. You know, and
I like that.
A few years ago, one of my daughters had scoliosis. And, you know, I remember it was like, wait a few months on the NHS, but it was like pressing on her lungs and everything else. Or 52 grand, and she can have it Tuesday. This is on a Friday. Yeah. That's like, I didn't think twice, wrote the bloody check out. But loads of people can't write the check out. And sometimes when people say, it's not about the money, money's not important, I say, it might not be. But what if your neighbour, your mum, your dad, your daughter, your grandkids had an issue like that? Wouldn't you like to be in a position to write that check and say, look, there you go?
Yeah. Well, look, I'm with you that. I get a lot of stick over the money, and you said I sold Pimlico Plumbers, and it was somewhere £145 million. You know, somewhere round about there with some shares in that. And I'm not
embarrassed. Back
when
that used to be a lot of money.
Well, it's a lot of money now, but
it's a huge amount, isn't it?
You know, I'm not embarrassed about that. You know, that's what I got out of it, and a lot of people have benefited, you know, very much from that sale. But you know, I'm quite proud of that. You know,
rightly so.
To you know, I learnt off a bill, bunking off a school, and all I ever wanted to be was a plumber, and it's just progress from there. And if I'm being honest, people used to say to me, "Oh, you're greedy, Charlie, you're this, that." Well, yeah, fine, call me greedy.
But I often say, because you know, I do a lot of mentoring, so I talk to people and they'll say, "Yeah, but my brother says this, or my mates say that, or you know, neighbours say this," and I say, "Yeah, but look at whoever's giving you the advice." So I'd talk about my mum. She was a cleaner as well, actually, and she used to, at night when we were asleep, I'd hear her whirring away on the sewing machine as well. She'd do piecework at night. I think, bloody hell, does she ever sleep? Now, if I wanted advice on how to make kids feel loved and hard work, I'd speak to my mum. But if I wanted advice on business, I wouldn't go to her because she never succeeded in business. Yeah. And so one of the things I say is, if you're hearing people say you're a wrong un, Charlie, or you're too focused on money, I'd look at whether they're educated to make that comment.
Well, look, you know, exactly it. You know, I mean, I weigh that person up, and you know, of course you do, and you know, I don't take much advice. I just look around, I see what's going on, and then I think, can I adapt that? Can I use it? Will it be to my advantage? And I think that's what I've done with Bill. You know, he was a self-employed plumber. He built up a high-class clientele. Loads of money people, and they loved him and tipped him and looked after him and continues to give him work. And I just followed them footsteps, and but expanded on it, you know.
And to roll forward, then you set up Pimlico Plumbers at 27. Was you with Bill until 27?
No, so I was only with Bill as a school kid from.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, I mean, if I'd have with him until I was 27, I'd be a billionaire now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, that's for sure. No, it was just a couple of years while I didn't go to school. I missed 1 year at school. We moved from North London to South London, and during that year, somehow I disappeared from the system, and I was, you know, not working with Bill that hot, but day here, day there, a couple of days here, and you know, and then of course the seeds were sown. I mean, talk about when you're young, and you know the seeds could be sown by anything. And if there's ever a true saying, the younger you are, and you get that seed in your mind. As soon as that, I went at the plumbing and see what was going on with the money, and the type of places he's working in. That was it. I mean, if Bill would have been a bank robber, I would have been a bank robber.
Right, because he inspired you and believed in you.
And it was about money that inspired me, you know, and nice things. And he's saying, you know, you could have this. I remember his words were, if you become an apprentice plumber, you'll never be out of work and you'll earn loads of money. And I'm telling people that 50 years down the line. I'm telling them it's a day. So there's bits that stuck with me. It was all about, you know, how well we can do in life. And... and I followed that route. There's no two ways about that.
And you never, between then, you left school, obviously, went into apprenticeship as a plumber. Yeah. Did you stay with one company until you set up on your own? How did that work?
Okay, so I'll do the apprenticeship, and, you know, as you know, you're leaving school and all the, you know, they've got no interest in you. All the, you know, the top of the class people are all, we've got this job, I've got this interview. Don't even talk. And, you know, I remember the career fellow said, what are you going to do now? I said, well, I've got an interview for an apprenticeship plumber. He went, oh, okay then. Like, as if to say, all right.
Why don't you want to be a bank manager?
And it was like, it was you know, I think at the time people that weren't that academic, you went into the building trade. But of course that's changed now, you know what I mean? You know, you get some clever people in the building trade now because they've worked out that, you know, you can earn loads of money, and there's massive shortage of skills, and supply and demand for tradesmen is incredible. You know, I think now if I was starting out in plumbing again, I'd be a millionaire in next to no time.
And that's really important always to think, what would I say if I go back? So I think it's good that you do give time to podcasts like this, or to speak to people and try and give them extra belief that you perhaps didn't have in the early years that would have propelled you even quicker. Yeah. But what I often, you talk about the careers advisor, and I've never been able to connect with, you got a careers advisor, I don't know if in today's money they'd probably be on 40 grand, 35, 40 grand. Yeah. And yet they're going to tell you how to be successful and have your dreams and everything else. And I think I'd much rather listen to Bill, who's got his own business and all the things that you talked about, or you, or a podcast, or read a book of someone who had actually achieved it, rather than someone who's kind of going through a list of, oh, he likes music, so he should be a musician, or you know, he's good at maths, so he should work in a bank. It's like they're never going to be qualified as a careers officer to tell someone how to be anything better than a careers officer.
That's right, and I think that's the system, and you know, that's the system most people follow. But you know, so many people that didn't stick to the you know, the academic side of things, and you know, they've gone on to, you know, they've got the drive, they've got the ambition, they've got the enthusiasm to set up a business. And you know, I think that you know, it's not one size fits for all. You know what I mean? You know, like, I'm not going to knock education, and you know, I look back on it. You know, I left school at 15, which was a massive mistake. I mean, I realise that now. I should have left at 14 because, you know, I was always going to be a plumber. And
so you wasted an extra year.
An extra year. And, you know, in the workplace, there's no substitute for experience. You know, I mean, I used to have people come and apply for jobs with us. They've just come out from university. They've got all the degrees possible, but they've never had any work experience. No. And I, at that time, we're more inclined to take someone on that's been in the workplace than someone that ain't. You know, if someone's had a year or two in the workplace, that's more valuable than sitting, you know, doing often a waste of time degree. I mean, I used to have guys come and apply for a job with me, and they got a degree in sculpture, and I'm like looking at them and thinking, what?
How's that relevant to?
You know, what's that? And to be honest, I mean, you know, most of them couldn't cross the road on their own, and you know, and but if I get someone else coming like me with a bit of drive and a bit of ambition, I want to be a plumber. You know, that's
something about.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a right nor wrong, but I think what we need to realise is that you know, it's out there for you. Your pot of gold's there. If you want to go for that pot of gold, just try and work out your route, which way you want to get to, you're going to have a million sort of hiccups on the way. That's for sure.
So at 27 though, you set up Pimlico. Was that scary?
Yeah, blimey, yeah. I mean, I was, you know...
What was the trigger that made you think, rather than working for other people, I'm going to do it on my own?
Well, what happened, to be honest, when I done my apprenticeship and I finished at 19, I left that day. I was gone from the company. I'd already started setting up customers and doing a bit of private work. And I was so pissed off of people telling me, you're late, you know, take your hands out of your pocket and don't do this, don't do that, look busy when the boss comes round. And I just thought, I don't want anyone bossing me about. I've had 4 years of it. Go and sweep up, go and make the tea. And it's part of the job, you know what I mean? And I'll go up the road and get some milk, go up the road and get some. And I had 4 years of like being told what to do. It looked like I could never do anything right, kind of thing. And but the day my apprenticeship finished, I left and I became self-employed. And you know, never been out of work. You know, I mean, never been out of work. And all of a sudden, like I'm self-employed and I'm building up clients. And it's like you're getting educated again in the workplace. I mean, I never used to regard myself as a businessman. Even now, people say to me, "What do you do?" I say, "I'm a plumber." But it goes beyond the plumbing, because I think when you start to build up and then you think, well, you know what? I'm sorting the money out here. I'm sorting the estimates out. I'm like getting further work. You know, you become the businessman.
So give us, I mean, one of the things I'll often talk about with business is they all want to go like this, you know, from here and success and it all be good. But the reality is it's like a mountain range. It's up and down, up and down. Talk to us about your views on failure and like just getting knocked and everything else. And we were talking earlier about your love of boxing and you know, I had a boxing club as well that I used to sponsor. And, you know, in that you get used to having to take a hit occasionally and getting stronger through taking a hit and learning new skills or putting the work in so that you can avoid a hit. How do you equate all of that to kind of the first 10 years, say, when it was probably up and down and so on, or wasn't it? Was it all
look, I think you're right. I think, you know, there's a lot of similarities that you pick up in the sport, and one in boxing is, you know, you've got to be determined, you've got to have drive, you've got to not be prepared to be second, because you don't get known for being second in boxing. And you know, it's all about winning and becoming the winner. And I think you put more into the boxing to make that happen the best you can, the training and, you know, the way you eat and that. I think it's the same with business. You want to be a winner, and a lot of my boxing, you know, how I was taught, you know, for about 4 or 5 years, the discipline, turn up on time, you know, eating well, making sure you go home, making sure you get up next day, making sure you don't get in no trouble. And I think if you apply that to the business world, it just makes you doing it the right way. And I believe that if you do something the right way, you've got a better chance of making it than doing it the wrong way. And you know, I think without my boxing background, I wouldn't be where I got today.
No, I completely agree. And when I used to sponsor the boxing club, and we'd have like 13, 14-year-old kids coming in, and their parents would say, "Oh, he's, you know, a bit of a problem." And before long, they'd knuckle down.
Yeah.
And there were lots of similarities to me, like the saying, "Let me mark your card."
Yeah.
Well, from the first proper fight you have, your cards are marked, aren't they?
Yeah.
Did you shake hands? Did you?
That's right.
Were you respectful to the opponent? Were you respectful to the ref?
Yeah.
Did you shake, even if you've lost? Did you shake your hand at the end or touch gloves, kind of thing? So, in a way, that's teaching kids at an early age. It's not about the fighting; it's about the discipline. It's about the respect and the work that goes in and all of that. And so, let's go forward then. So, Pimlico, was there a point at which you realised, shit, this is going to be big? Or did you just keep, like, did it just grow?
Yeah, no, I did realise that. Let me just go back to, I've become self-employed. I started working in the Pimlico area, working for Pimlico Properties, and me and another guy was working, which was Sammy Fox's dad. He was a carpenter, and we worked together for a couple of years on and off, and all of a sudden, like, Sammy Fox is going to be in the papers and start a page 3. So Pat said, I'm going to take 3 weeks off and give her a bit of an hand, then be back. Well, he never picks a saw up again for Pat. So
because her career just shut
that was it. It just went for it. So I'm left there, and then the Pimlico property guy says, "Look, I have a room in my basement here, a fucking derelict basement." He said, "Would you like it as an office?" And I'm like, "What are you on about? You know, I don't understand what you're getting at.
Why do I need an office?
Why does a plumber need an office?" And I couldn't work it out. And he said, "You know, you could have this phone and answer machine and leave your stuff here and boom, 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 boom." And anyhow, I had sleepless nights about it, and I said, I'll do it, but I didn't know what I was doing. I just didn't know, but something told me it's a step forward. And from there, it just escalated. It was then answering machine, then I got a part-time someone in to answer the phones, then I'm like answering the phones, then I'm doing the jobs. And the turning point was I employed somebody. And I honestly think in business, until you employ people, it's highly unlikely you're going to get to the big time.
Well, it's not really a business. You sort of go from being employed by someone else to being self-employed by your business.
That's
but
right.
once you employ someone else, suddenly it's kind of different meaning.
And I learned in business that it's like, the employment side is a double-sided sword. It happens to be the best thing in business is employing people to grow your business, but it's also the worst thing in business because all the bits that go with it.
I mean, on that, here we are, roll forward, whatever, 30 years forward. I have a real problem with all this home working now. Not a problem with home working per se, but with people saying, I'm not coming back to the office.
Yeah.
And I think there's a real opportunity for a mix, but have we got a week with employees? Because I know you were always quite strict on saying you got to be smart, no tattoos, that are showing and stuff like that. And because that's the standard that your brand wanted to set. What do you feel about today's employment?
Well, today, I mean, we could be arguing, disagreeing all day. Look, the people that work from home and if bosses are okay with that, get on with it. But if you want to run a successful business and you really want to make it, you need to get an office. You need to get people into the workplace, and that's how it's done. I mean, all this nonsense about we work more from home. And it's more productive. The only thing that's more productive is, the decorating gets done, the ironing gets done, bit of shopping, coal.
Not the job though.
Yeah, I mean, look. If them people want to do that, carry on with it. But I'm opening up a new service company next year, and no one won't be working from home. And I believe that businesses will thrive now that come into the office face to face, dealing with things as they are. Because I've got to be honest, some of the other people that work from home and that, I'm not saying all of them, they're a waste of time. I mean, if I'm doing business with anyone now, if they tell me they're working from home or running a business from home, I'm out. I'm done. And, I believe we should give the people that come into the workplace double the amount of wages to the ones that stay at home.
But listen, I'm with you on it. I'm with you on it, mate.
But as Pimlico started to grow and, become like Pimlico Plumbers, and people, even now, I sort of laugh at them and go, how did you think of a name like that? And, well, I didn't. I said, the estate
We're
agent,
in Pimlico, we've got Pimlico.
Well, the estate agent kept saying to me, no, the customer was saying, oh, you're the Pimlico Plumber.
Ah, okay.
So because we was in that area, and I'm thinking I didn't move out of Pimlico, and then when I started employing people, just put an S on the end of it, Pimlico Plumbers. It was simple.
Brilliant.
And then, I think, as you say, you get educated in the workplace. I mean, my education didn't start at school. It started when I left school. Well, it started before I left school when I was bunking off school. Because, I was never going to be, like in banks or finance or an accountant or anything like that. I was always going to be a plumber. Once I had that thought there. And, but I didn't know what it entailed, because I think as you start becoming good at your job and things are going well, you start progressing. And the turning point is employing people.
No, absolutely. And just to pick up on that last sort of minute as well, because we're talking success systems, success is a system, and what are the systems that make it? I mean, for me, you said something there about, I didn't really learn at school, but I learned as I get in business. Two things, really. One is every day's a school day, and we can do terribly at school. We can be the worst pupil, come out with the worst results. If we put ourselves to work and are willing to open our eyes and learn, we can still become really successful. And in what you were saying there, a lot of us, and part of this podcast is about, don't make mistakes that you don't have to make. Listen to what Charlie did, listen to what Dave Potts did, listen to what Neville Wright did, listen to what Alex Hughes did, listen to what Alex Curtis did, all the different people that I've had on the podcast. And somewhere in there you'll find something. But each of them are kind of working on a basis that they're constantly learning, constantly moving forward. And where you start is not important, it's where you end up and the journey along the way. But it weren't that you were against education, it didn't work for you in school. And the other thing that you said was you sort of, I didn't really know. Now, the beauty is you can learn from stuff like this, but equally, you can make a shitload of mistakes and still be really successful.
Yeah, look, I think everyone's got to make mistakes. I mean, you sell a man that never made a mistake, never made fuck all.
Yeah.
And a man that made too many never had fuck all. So you've got to make them mistakes. And over the years, I've made so many mistakes, employed the wrong person, got rid of the wrong person, didn't conduct myself this way now. But you learn from it. And I used to work out in the week, if for everything I've done this week, if I've got it 60, 70% right, I'm in front.
Yeah.
If it was the other way round, everything was wrong, then I need to change it. And I think in the end, mistakes, I don't think are a problem. You know what I mean? They're not a problem.
It's how you learn, isn't it? And I often say to people, everything you ever got good at in life, you were shit at to start with. Learning to walk, you got up, fell down, got up, fell down, got up. Eventually, you learn to walk if you carry on. And if you're watching and you're learning from those falls, you can move on. But let's talk about how you evolved, because you sort of said you employed some people, you made some mistakes, made some mistakes. You were known for having really smart staff, having vans that were spotless, for saying things like, your home will be at least as clean when my guys leave as it was when they arrived. Because tradespeople generally aren't known for being smart, sharp. They have dented vans, they have dirty vans. Where did your that come from for you?
Where it come from, as an apprentice again, we're turning up in these big posh houses, and the woman's moaning, the plumber I had, his arse was hanging out his trousers, didn't finish the job, not transparent.
And you're listening.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, and I thought, when I become self-employed, I don't want people getting on my case about you didn't turn up, you didn't finish the job, you're untidy, scruffy van, you're not transparent. And I thought, I do not want that. So this is true as anything. I sat down and I wrote, I think it was about 20 things that are wrong in the industry that the plumber gets blamed for.
Right.
It never gives you a price, never comes back, don't tidy up, leaves the rubbish there, don't turn up a particular day, knocks off early. So I wrote a list, and I put the complete opposite. So
I'm going to turn up. I'm going to be.
Well, it was like turning up late, turn up on time. Scruffy bastard, get a uniform. Rusty old van, get a good van. Not transparent, give them the price. Not finishing the job, finish the job. Rubbish. And I just come up with 20 things and done the opposite. And we carried that out through Pimlico all the time. And if I'm being honest, I don't think it's that Pimlico was so good. It was that some of the rest were so bad. And if you do anything right, and you've got and you're, I'm going to use the word value for money, people will always pay for quality.
And that was another point, and it's a point for loads of businesses. When I was doing a lot in retail, they all think, the fucking supermarkets are stealing all the customers because they're cheaper. Oh my God, now the discounters are stealing all our customers because they're cheaper. And yet we're seeing businesses, even during all of that going on, and particularly bad in the sort of 2000s, but during that time, Marks and Spencer's grew their food business. Waitrose grew their food business. So I could say, well, it's not all about the discounters then.
That's right.
These guys do it. So you were able to command what would be an average, do you think, 20, 30% premium on normal prices for what you did? Or?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And do you believe that is because you set those standards and people were willing to pay for it?
Undoubtedly. I mean, I learned, again, just in out there in the workplace, that people will always pay for quality.
Yeah.
And, if you're saying to someone, we're going to turn up on time, we're smart people, we won't let you down, we won't leave a mess, we get the job done, the people that's got money will do that. And that's it. I mean, you can offer that service to people that are perhaps not so well off, and you're not going to make any money of it, but you've got to cater for the type of service you want to offer and the type of customer.
Yeah.
And, I've heard so many stories over the years, people go, I'd rather work for people that ain't got no money. And I'm telling you now, you can always get money off of people that's got money, but you can't get money off people that haven't got any money.
But what's interesting, I mean, all of that stuff on price, we used to do, when I ran a research business based out of, firstly, Camden and Farringdon with a business partner called Tom. We built it here, America, Australia, New Zealand. We did work across 18 European countries. And price was the biggest thing. People would say, it's all about price. We say, it's not about price. Actually, when we speak to customers, we say, why are you here? It would be friendly service. It would be fast service. It would be quality of product. And price would be in that mix, but it wasn't everything.
No.
And then, so we got to this thing where we say, there's this kind of scales of price. where I'm willing to pay price is a scale of the benefits I receive for the burdens I endure. If they're always late, if they're always scruffy, they've got to be bloody cheap, because if they're expensive and that, I'm not doing it, kind of thing.
Look, all them things. I mean, common sense has got to come into it, and a lot of a lot of things you can look at, and put it like this: if you get a smart plumber and smart estimator and smart vans, you'll get a smart job. You get a scruffy plumber, all the bits, you'll get a bad job. I mean, it just goes to work out there.
So your new services business, is that going to be Pimlico too, or is it completely different?
No, totally different. It's a company called WeFix.
Okay.
It's going to be. We're planning it now, putting it in place, but we have a clause, a legal clause that we can't trade for 3 years. Yeah. That's up next year. I wouldn't dream of trading before then, because that's not the deal I had. No. But we'll be up and we will clean up in London again. No two ways. So
it's not going to be plumbing. That's going to be anything.
Yeah, it's going to be
any trade,
like Pimlico, all trades again. So,
but you're still going to go premium. You're still going to have all those good things that you had in Pimlico.
I'll copy what I've done before, and one is to get smart vans on the road and very recognisable vans. Yeah. There's a thing like when I come up with a van idea with number plates and on-call sign.
Yeah.
And the way we had them sign written. I actually think we had the most recognisable van on the road of quality. I mean, there's loads of...
Well, you are the most famous plumber and plumbing business in the world, so it clearly worked.
So, and I would do very much similar to that, but better now, because I've learned things I could improve on it. And it's like, when I come up with a number plate idea, it wasn't I'm sitting down all night and trying to come up with something. Someone said to me, this number plate's coming up in the auction, Charlie, called Drain. You should buy it. And I'm looking at it and they're talking about £6,000. I'm having sleepless nights and I'm thinking, what are you on about? Am I mad? £6,000 40 years ago. And something made me I think it's that, like they always say, you've got to take a risk. And I always try and not follow everyone else. So if everybody said to me, don't buy it,
observe the masses and do the opposite. Yeah. That was a Disney thing.
Well, I used to always say to people that, I'll ask someone a question about, what do you think, should we dig the hole there? Yeah. And if most of them go dig it there, I'll go the opposite way. Because I worked a thing out, if we was all right, we'd all be millionaires, and we're not.
People might say that was a foolish decision, or that was like a risk on money. But am I right in thinking that by the time you sold, those number plates alone were worth $1.5 million?
Oh, all of that, blimey. All of that, yeah. I mean,
so it was a good investment as well.
Well, it's a good investment anyhow, but the publicity it gave us was amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And, I don't know a better way of getting free publicity than number plates. And, there's another one. When I first signed written the vans, and I've been talking to tradesmen for years, and they go, I never had my name on my van. Don't want my neighbours to know what I'm doing. I don't want this, don't want that.
That's crazy.
Don't want them to think I'm at work. And I'm looking at them, I think, you're going nowhere. You're going nowhere. You will just plod about for the rest of your life. And I'd worked out with the vans. The biggest form of advertisement was their vans, and it didn't cost us nothing. They was driving around anyhow. We put a bit of sign writing on, and I thought to myself, how comes people can't see it?
I do want to get into your mastery, because I think it is mastery of PR and publicity and brand building. But before I get into that, talking about another business, and I mean it with utmost respect, you're 71 years old, is that right?
Well, near enough. But
near enough. But you have more energy than most 20, and I mean this completely honestly, than most 20-year-olds I see. You've got that kind of fire about you. But you sold a business for a lot of money, 71, you could just go off and live on a beach, you could just do nothing, but you're going to go again. I mean, where does that passion, that energy, that desire to have the excitement for business that you still have come from, do you think?
I know it must come from my background working as a kid and working class background and having to work to survive and having to work to get money. And as much as I don't need the money now, the more
still get the buzz.
The more you got, the more you can spend anyhow. But I think it comes back from them days that you don't get nothing for nothing. And I just feel that all I've picked up when I had the company, there's so many knowledgeable things that. Why don't I benefit again for it? Not necessarily for me, but for my family. And a lot of members of the family worked in the other business. And
some still do.
No, they come
don't
away
now.
there.
Okay,
No, they moved on from there, and so there's about 10 of them there, and they'd be very keen to go again, and it wouldn't, and that's it really, as simple as that.
And I guess once we've ticked the box for ourselves, on the bottom of my book, and I shamelessly stole it because a good idea is a good idea. You can borrow it from someone else, from Stephen Covey, and his mission statement in life was to live, to love, to learn, to leave a legacy. And once you've got the stuff that you need, it does become about what am I going to leave behind, whether that's with family or whether that's what people know and remember and get inspired by. Is that fair?
You're exactly right. I mean, how would you put it? Years ago, I don't think I had the background or the pedigree to be able to back up what I'm saying. But now I have it. When you start a business, nothing, and you sell it for lots of dosh at the end, and you're successful on the way, then you've got the credentials to talk. I'm not saying I ain't good at many things in life, but one thing I am good at is running a business. And
another thing you're really good at is building brands and building PR and profile. And I know you work with Keith Bishop, and he's an incredible PR guy, and Carl, and they do an amazing job. But you seem to have, if I look at different things through your career, you seem to get the importance of branding, the importance of, on the clothing, on the van, doing stuff that will get you in the newspaper and on the radio, on the telly, and get you known. That wouldn't have been something you get from Bill, would it? Where did that come from, do you think? Hope you're enjoying Success is a System. Every Tuesday, we launch it on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. Drop us a note and tell us who you would like to see or hear on Success is a System, or what subjects you'd like us to cover to help you and your business. Success is a System. Like, subscribe, and make sure you get it every Tuesday for great lessons and systems that have made people wealthy, healthy, and successful.
To be honest, I just picked it up off of when I was in Pimlico, and there was little print shops. I went around a print shop, and Tony Davison, and he had 6 print shops, and he was advising me get this, that, and the other, and I had like a sort of an oblong logo of Pimlico and shadow writing, and he said to me, "You're not going to like this," he said, "but that's old-fashioned. It's no good one." And I'm like fuming, and he said, "I'm going to suggest you change it." And he said, "Look, sleep on it." I remember him saying it, and I've gone home and I'm thinking, this guy's mad, never going there again. He's obviously lost it. And I went back the next day, and I said, "Look, tell me more about it." He said, "Look, who really knows you in Pimlico, that little bit at that time?" He said, "You need to bring it out, boom, boom." Anyhow, I listened to what he said, and he made the difference of making me listen to people that know what they're talking about. And he changed a few things, and it just went berserk. Now, I think and then he said to me at the time, "It's not working out with the shops, staff are a problem. If you want me to work for you, X amount of dosh." I took him on then, and 40 years down the line, he still works with me now. And he's very black and white, and he doesn't, he's not one of these people that he puts his head on the block when he tells me something. And he don't make many mistakes,
Right.
And like things, I think working with him in that is like with the PR thing. That we had an old geezer once that used to walk past a building from the old people's home, and another guy had worked for me, a chauffeur. He was about 80. Used to know him and drop him off at the pub and all that. And he walked by one couple of times. He used to give him a score to go and have a drink. And he said to me, "Oh, I don't want your money, son. I'll come and do a bit of work." I said, "All right, Buster, what do you want to do? Sweep up, wash the vans?" He went, "I'll wash the vans." Anyhow, he turned up on a Monday. This is a true story, right? Now, all I'm really doing is letting him feel that he can. Anyhow, he turns up, and I get on to my PR company. No, I get on to Tony Davison, and I said, "Tony, I'm going to take this guy on. He's 99. What do you think?" He went, "Yeah." I said, "I've been onto the PR company," and they said, "Leave it till he's 100." And he said, "He might not make 100, take him on now." I took him on the Monday. By the end of the week, the place was packed out with press. So he'd become the oldest worker in Europe. He was non-stop on the telly. And
he's probably loving it as well.
I mean, he was absolutely loving it, getting well paid in that. And I thought to myself, this is amazing. This guy, he's out there. I've turned him into a worker. And the publicity was incredible. And there were many other ideas I'd done that. I used to get the old vans on, and I'd have them. I'd get loads of apprentices on. We'd do lots of charity work. I don't find PR difficult at all. And again, somebody pointed out to me, and it was Tony Davidson. He said, "What you need is recognition."
Yeah,
he said, and if it happens to be for the right reason, that's it. And then he simplified it even again. He said, "Look," he said, "you can be the best plumbing company in the world, but if no one don't know about it, there's no point."
No, that's a good point.
And I don't think recognition is difficult. You know, I mean, it's not difficult. You know what I mean?
So taking that as a point, and I think I know your answer, but let's say you're a small plumbing business, got a couple of plumbers, let's say. Should you be employing a PR company to help you with that, or should you just be trying to do your own stuff? What's your thoughts? Yeah. Because to me, a lot of people think, no, if I'm famous or when I become multi-million, I'll do it. But what comes first? It's a bit like a chicken or egg thing, isn't it?
Well, look, I'm going to use that term. When people used to always say to me, I don't think I can have PR on my. I can't afford it. And I say to them, can you afford not to have them then? Because whether you do your own, you start with social media. If you ain't up on the social media now and all the bits out there, then you're out the game anyhow. Yeah. So what I would say to anybody, you always start doing your own. Then you get someone to do a little bit that's a bit more professional, and the more you spend on PR, the busier your business will be, the bigger the turnover. I was introduced to a PR company in 2000. We bought a new building in Lambeth. They come in, a company from up Leeds come and fit some doors, like mechanical doors for the garage, etc. The boss woman had sent a message, said, "Look, I'd like to come down and do some photos for you for a magazine." When she come down and she said, "Who does your PR?" And I'm like looking up thinking, "What are you talking about? Why would we want PR?" Yeah. And I didn't get it. And she said, "Nobody." So, well, I use a company called Recognition, said up in Darley. I still use them today. Yeah. I signed up with them then. I still use them today. And, what a sort of, a great thing that, I had one conversation with this woman. She said something to me. I couldn't see the end result, but I could see that there's a value to it.
No, and one of the things that occurs to me as I'm talking to you is that there's a saying that I like, which is we got two ears and one mouth, use them in that order kind of thing. Listen, stop talking. And sometimes people say, "Mike, can you mentor us? Can you help us with the business?" And let's say I spend an hour with them each month. They'll spend most of that hour telling me why they can't do something, or I'll say, "Look, do this. I've worked a lot of business, that's worked." They'll say, "Nah, that won't work." And they're chalking out why it won't work, and yet it seems that whether it was the printer you listen to or the lady saying about your PR firm, it feels like you're always on the listen for. Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's right or not, but I'm going to. No,
you're spot on because I get the same. I get people. I'll ring someone up to do something. They tell me every reason why they can't, and I'll just say, "Look, just stop there. Just can you just do it then?" It don't matter to me about it's going to rain. It don't matter to me that it's not long enough. I mean, I've seen workers. They go round somebody's house, and they're telling the woman, "You don't want to have this boiler. You don't want to do this." The lady wants to have a new boiler. Give her what she wants. She doesn't want to know what you can't have. She wants to know what she can have. And unfortunately, a lot of people are like that, but I'm not like that. Somebody says, if I walk in the shop, I don't want to know why that I can't have this, I can't have that. If that's what I want, then just sell me it, kind of thing.
No, I love that as well. And so, just on that, WeFix, you're bringing in the old team, you're getting new team. Are you kind of looking to bring in new ideas?
New ideas. The ideas I've got is amazing. Look, we're going to work on a similar sort of strategy of what we had with the other company, and that's quality service. So, I've got it. It's so simple. If you bring the people in right, the right people bring them in, and you get rid of them the right way, the bit in the middle ain't difficult. You know what I mean? That's like breathing. You know what I mean? Turn up, do the job, take their money.
Well, and on that, I do want to get into it because so many small companies are often saying to me, "I know they're not very good, but they've been with me a couple of years," he's got a family, or so. And there's obviously different schools of thoughts. But if someone's a bad apple, did you ever not make a decision when you knew someone needed to go? Because there's a lot of businesses that are keeping people that know they shouldn't be keeping.
Okay, well look, I think over the years you learn how to deal with it. And I'm going to actually just put this back onto you or anyone that's listening, and you're going to get the right answer. When's the best time to get rid of somebody?
Now. Once you decide that they're not the right person.
Right, so I answer that now. The best time to get rid of somebody as soon as you first thought about it. You know. Now, people said to me over the years. I mean, I've had people now. If I've got someone ain't right, they're done. Someone ring me up at work, or when I had Pimlico, and they go, "Oh, Jimmy so and so coming in. Okay, get rid of him. Done."
And similar to that, I used to listen a lot to Jack Welsh, who used to run GE, and he was, 400,000 staff, billions of pounds of turnover, and he was known as Neutron Jack because he would often each year review the bottom 10%.
Yeah.
And so I'd sometimes say to businesses, "How many people do you employ?" I'd say 20. Okay, so let's take 10% too. If you had to get rid of 2 tomorrow, in the time it took me to just say that, you know which 2 are, don't you?
Yeah, of course.
And they'd say, I say, well, aren't you disrespecting them to keep them? Because if you know they're the ones you get rid of, you're only hanging on to them while they're useful anyway, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what are they still doing in your business if it took you less than 2 seconds to know they're not?
No, look, you are right. I think the problem we have is we've all got an art, and when they tell you, I'm not been well, and wife's this, and you can get sucked in on it. And I'm not saying don't give anybody an opportunity and a chance, but often the best thing you can do is part company with them. And somebody said to me, but what about sometimes, Charlie, you've got rid of 10 people and 2 of them have been excellent engineers, they've gone on to better things. I said, yeah, but the odds are against you, aren't they? 8 of them are going to be wrong uns, so you might as well let them
But
all
it
go.
may be, sometimes, Jack Welsh would say, set them free to be amazing somewhere else. He said, if you're going to set them free and you have to legally give them 1 month, give them free, because you need to feel some pain for not addressing the issue earlier, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So overcompensate them. And actually, if you tell them why you're letting them go and how you feel, that might be to kick up the bum they need to go off and do something amazing.
Look, I mean, you're so right there, because I've seen certain people and they're never going to get it right with us. They're just not responding to you, and they go somewhere else and they make them formal and all that. Yeah, I mean, but I don't think you need to feel responsible for people that work for you. My take is, give them a good job, give them good money, good conditions, and you expect something back for it.
Yeah.
And if they start acting that don't suit your company, people used to go to me, "Oh, you're ruthless." I'm not ruthless. But I'm very black and white.
And honest with them when you have to let them go. I guess.
I mean, it's like, but I learned, cut your losses. And over the years, I've kept some people for a year or 2.
Yeah,
and we become quite friendly and mates. And then I think to myself, God, this guy's driving me mad. Then all of a sudden you get rid of him and people are going to you, "Oh, he was wrong, he this, that and the other."
Why didn't you tell me before?
Yeah, and you think you've got a lot going on. But, I mean, I'm a great believer that, I always get a manager in place for recruitment, for accounts, for canteen manager, transport manager, sales manager, estimating manager, office manager, and you learn to delegate in business in the end. And so I ain't got to go up and tell he's a wrong one. That manager just happened to say to me, "Oh, look, Mary's been fucking about again." And how long has it been going on for? Well, okay, get rid of her then. You know what I mean? And it's about. I think the difference of being successful is being honest. And
I noticed that for every business that has that, look, if they're not working out, I'm going to let them go. I'm going to do it as nicely as I can, but I'm going to let them go. But I'm going to do it now because once I know. Equally, often those businesses, if you're in the top 20% of them, and you've said it, people work for you for 40 years.
Yeah.
You look after them, you know their name, you know their families. Those people you are going to look after and live and die for, kind of thing.
Exactly. And the difference is that, I'm a great believer of giving people incentives to work for you. Give them the gym, give them the free lunch, give them we used to have massage, barbecue up on the roof, lovely Christmas parties and that. And in the end, you want these people want to work for you. So it's not all about not looking after people. I think you've got to look after them to get the best out of them. But if they don't stack up, they need to move on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's an important. Whenever I've looked at businesses that are great businesses over a sustained period, it's always because they've got great people policies.
Yeah.
And yet, in the UK, we have 5.9 million businesses. 5.3 million of them have less than 10 employees. And often I think it's because so many small businesses don't put the people policies in or the systems in that enable them to get over 10. You can sort of manage 10 people,
Yeah, that's right.
juggling and
Yeah.
working crazy.
But
But once
that-
it goes after that, you've got to have systems and
Yeah.
controls.
Well, look, I said earlier, and I'll still stick to that, the hardest and worst thing in business is employing people, but it's also the best, because when you get that right, your business will just grow. That's the difference of being successful and not. When somebody says to me, simplify it, Charlie, you know, you run a plumbing business, thousand. Why is your plumbing business more successful than the others? Well, two reasons is, one is quality of service, and the second thing is that we're prepared to employ people, to look after people, and that's definitely a winner, employing people.
So if I can go back a little bit then, would you have sold if you went back now?
I mean, I have days when I think it was the right move at the time. I think it was the right move. It fetched a good price. It sort of got it home to me of how well we'd done at the business, and you actually grow off of that, because when you come out of it, you think, you know what, maybe I was better than what I thought, and now I've got that thought. I just said to you, we'll go again and we'll clean up in London. There's no two ways about that.
Brilliant.
I mean,
and I can see that belief in your eyes.
yeah, I mean, look, you know, I mean, if I'm a better man, which I am, you know, I've got no hesitation on it whatsoever. And because you do learn so much in business, you learn by your mistake. You learn, I went this way, I went that way. And like as we talk about with, you know, getting rid of people, you know, I now know so much. You've got to get rid of them as soon as you start thinking about it. And I would
agree.
I would do that more. And there's another one, like, you know, it's like when, you know, you got your doubts about someone, or they might have fucked one job up, and you think, you know, that, you know, and they've always got a reason why and all that. And then you've just got to be more honest and serious in business, and you've got to make sure that, you know, the tail's not wagging the dog. You've got to be a leader.
No, that's a good way to put it.
You know, you can't have people telling you what to do. And it's like all this working from home nonsense. You know, they're dictating. They're gonna tell you when they want to work, when they ain't. They're gonna be putting in so many claims. Reward the people that want to come into the office, and let the other ones go and ruin other people's business.
Yeah. So let's go back a bit further then, Charlie. 27-year-old Charlie. What would you say to him if I was him and you were sitting here with him? What would you say now, with the benefit of looking back?
Very simple. You've got to think. You've got to think a lot bigger than what you do think. I used to think I thought fairly big, but I was only doing it by 50%. You know, you'll be amazed of, you know, what you can achieve. You know what I mean? That, you know, I mean, look, I started off, all I ever wanted to be was a plumber. Then all of a sudden I started employing them. We employed about 500 at the end, and I think now, you know, why didn't I say I want to employ thousands? You know what I mean? Because it would have happened. So you must think bigger. I think you've got to be. The other thing is, you've got to be realistic. You mustn't kid yourself. You know that, how would you say it, what your capabilities are and what your capabilities ain't. But once you find what you're good at, and you marry it all up, then, you know, you're a lot more powerful than what you think. You know, it's like I'm sitting here now saying, I got rid of a company 18 months ago. I could start up tomorrow, and we will be cracking it right off. I could talk to anyone else in business, and I could tell them certain things they could do that would improve their business. And how do I know? Why do I know? Why am I that confident? Because I've done it. You know, and I have to say that, you know, anybody that can start a business and cash in at the other end of it, you've got to have something about you that's a bit more than not the norm. I mean, I'm only just realising this now. You know, when you get rid of your business, you realise how good you were. You know,
whereas when you're doing it, you're probably in it and looking at the problems.
Your mind's all like, oh, should I do this? Should we take that? Shall I do? And then all of a sudden you come away from it, and, you know, other people that are doing the business now, they're not getting it right, and you think, well, it's so obvious. It's so obvious. And, you know, I think one of the things we had great at the business, it was very much a personal business, very much a family business. And, you know, that I think is a lovely way to run a business. You know, family or personal. I mean, you know yourself, I've dealt with people for years, and I wouldn't have a clue what they look like, sound like, and, you know, got no personality. And I think that side of it, you know, we're all human beings. I mean, I used to be as shy as anything. You know what I mean? And
it's hard to imagine, really.
Yeah, couldn't even walk in a room. Now, like, I walk in a room and notice me.
So given that, would you have any conversation around that confidence or self-belief? If I was 15-year-old Charlie, what would you be saying to me?
Well, I mean, definitely do your apprenticeship, that's for sure, because apprenticeship means you're going to be a millionaire these days. Do your apprenticeship and then think big. Think big. If you know, often people say, oh, I don't ever want to have my own business. Oh, okay, well, everyone's different, but there's no business like your own business, you know what I mean?
And if you can think back to when you were 15-year-old Charlie, what do you think he would say to you now if he was sitting here?
I think he would say that, you know, you missed lots of opportunities because you should have just really gone, you know, amazing. I mean, I thought just working in Pimlico or Chelsea or something was like a great thing. And, you know, and then in the end you start working all these like Mayfairs and all that. You just got to think big, you know what I mean?
A couple of quick fire things, which I normally end with.
Oh, nice.
You know, and it's this or that, and it's like, I know you're not the politician, so we'll get to this or that rather than the long sort of bit. And in no particular order, degree or apprenticeship?
You shouldn't even ask me that.
Yeah,
It's
apprenticeship. What's your favourite book or quote that you have been most inspired by?
Well, my favourite book is the one I've got. It's called Bog Standard Business.
I've read it.
And it's got so much advice, and it's an autobiography and business tips. And when I look at it myself, I think, God, so many things that has helped me, you know, do this, don't do that, number plates, appetite, you know. So I think it's a great book for someone who wants to be successful. And, you know, it ain't about the money. I mean, all the money goes to children, my children.
Yeah, good.
So that's
I know you do a lot for charity.
My best quote, I would say, is a man who never made a mistake, never made fuck all.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah.
So, and then a couple of other completely different things. Tories or Labour for next election? Who's going to win?
I'm always black and white, so I'm going to say Tories, you know what I mean?
Okay.
I mean, obviously they've got a battle on, but I get a feeling they might play their best card, which is Boris, you know what I mean?
Okay. What about London specifically? Lib Dems or Tories?
Well, I'm a Tory guy, you know what I mean?
Okay.
I mean, you know, yeah, because of Thatcher and that, so...
Yeah, no, I
I'm
can
Tory,
see
yeah.
that. Best thing about the UK?
Great opportunity if you want to be successful. There's a lot of help in the UK. There's a lot of opportunities, and I think if you want to be a successful businessman, then there's so much opportunity there to do it. You know what I mean? Again, you don't realise when you're starting out. You don't realise, you know. Of course, it's difficult, but the opportunities that are there. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of sort of, you know, the foreigners come over and next to no time they're millionaires, all because they work hard and you know, don't bellyache kind of thing. So great opportunities in the UK for business.
The flip of that, what's the worst thing about the UK at the moment?
I think there's many things that are bad there. Yeah, where do you start there? I mean, you know. What's the worst thing? I think probably for me the worst thing is the youngsters are not given the proper opportunity to make something of themselves. I think the system where, you know, if you're not educated and you don't go to university, they're not interested in you. I came out of a system a long time ago that I used to put the camera in, and I think he would have adapted it in the end if he was still in there, was when you leave school, you should either have a job, go to university, or go into a state-funded apprenticeship.
Right.
It would resolve youth unemployment, it would resolve crime on the street, it would resolve all that rehabilitation, skill shortage. People sort of start becoming somebody when they get a job.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that
Once
we
they
lack
get the
in this
feeling
country.
of earning a wage.
Yeah, they're not draining, they're putting something into society, and it just changes you. I mean, you sort of grow up when you get a job, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, and you start to get the influences of other adults that aren't your parents or teachers, because...
Well, that's it, and then all of a sudden you look at these people and you go, hey, you know what? You know, he's made this from that, and he's made this, and he's done well, and look at the car he's got. And we learn off other people, and, you know, but you can't do that unless you get in the workplace. So for me, one of the most important things is to get in the workplace, and I think one of the things we lack is that we don't do enough for youngsters to get them in the workplace.
Completely agree. Completely different subject. Who was the biggest influence on you, mum or dad?
Dad.
Okay.
Purely because he had good work ethics.
Brilliant.
You know,
Okay.
rain or sun, he'd be up at 5 in the morning, get a tube to work and go to work and earn 2 bob. You know what I mean? But you know, anybody that goes to work, I admire anyhow. So my father was a great work ethics.
And last two, because I'm interested. Who's the best ever boxer?
Muhammad Ali.
And the best current boxer?
Current boxer. I'm trying to think of a name. Give me a name.
Tyson Fury, someone like that, or?
No, I'm not a great lover of Tyson Fury. You know, I'm not a great lover of any of the heavyweights.
So who's the?
I'm not up on the boxing today, so yeah, but undoubtedly Muhammad Ali. Yeah, yeah. I'm just not up on it enough.
No, that's fair. And on that, why Muhammad Ali? Is it because one of the things, apart from being an amazing boxer, a lot of what we've talked about today has been about mental attitude and belief and the psychology of winning.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, I think the reason I'm picking Muhammad Ali, you know, the fact that you know he was obviously a great boxer, but the recognition he got, and that reminds me of the PR. You know, it was like a walking PR machine.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, that you know, I used a term earlier that somebody said to me, or my market manager said, what you need is recognition. And if it happens to be for the right reason, that's it. So, you know, the recognition of him, the recognition of Nigel Farage, the recognition of Johnson, and you could arguably say in my business, the recognition of me. If I weren't out there and people don't know about me, then well, you wouldn't be here, and it's all no point. So I quite like the idea that people have got recognition, and if it's for the right reason, then even better.
And lastly, to finish it, because it's success is a system, what 3 systems or attitudes or approaches would you say to everybody they've got to have to be successful in business or life?
Well, I'm a great believer of providing a quality service. So whatever you're doing, supplying, manufacturing, IT, or whatever you're doing, I believe in quality. And I believe that people always pay for quality. So I'm going to say, definitely have a quality product or quality service. The next thing is in business. So ask me the question again, sorry.
So what are the 3 systems, attitudes or approaches you think are most important? Okay,
well, definitely quality of service. And the other thing is you've got to be a leader. And the leader's got drive, ambition, enthusiasm, never going to say no, never give in. You've got to have, I mean, you can buy brains, but you can't buy enthusiasm. Yeah. So, you know, like as you said to me today, you've still got a lot of fire there, and I'm like just going casual at the moment. If I was really going full out there, so you've got to have drive, you've got to have ambition. Obviously, you've got to be an hard worker. I think a lot of people forget in business that, you know, you're never going to be successful unless you work hard. And people often say to me, but Charlie, I've worked hard all my life, but I'm not successful. Well, you know, they haven't got the drive, and you know, I don't think you're born with it. I think you manufacture your strong points. We've all got strong points, and whatever they are, you just got to maximise them. And I would say one of my strong points is I believe in, you know, success. I believe that, you know, it would take a lot to stop you, kind of thing. Yeah, it's a bit like a boxer. He's got to believe that he's going to win. And
who was it? I think it was Napoleon Hill who said, what the mind of man can conceive and believe they can achieve. You've got to start with the belief.
Yeah, you've got to believe it, but you've got to be realistic. And you know, if I was setting out to be, you know, a finance or mathematician, I ain't got open hell. But we're all good at something. Once you find out what it is, then you just got to play on that. And whatever your strong points will be, you know, I mean, you know, I realise now my strong points are being honest, being outspoken, and making it happen. You know, Brilliant. And there's a way of making it happen. Just you know, this sort of, I'm not going to say never give in, be realistic, but it would take a lot to, you know, I used to think it would take a lot for me not to go to work. You know, I don't get Monday illness or Friday illness or 2 bob colds or whatever, or stomach upsets or postman's birthday, or, you know, cat ain't drunk his milk. I never had any of them problems.
Which is another big argument about trades generally.
Yeah, but in a real world, you know, I used to always say it would take a lot for me not to go to work. And I think if you've got that attitude, it will take a lot for me not to be successful.
Brilliant.
I mean, yeah.
Charlie, thank you so much for your time.
Can I just send you with this last bit?
Go on, please.
And I think you're going to know. So Einstein, right? He said if he could come again, what would he be? What would he come back?
I've not heard this.
You haven't heard this. You heard this one.
Einstein, no.
Well, Einstein said if he was to come again, he would come back as a plumber.
Oh, did he say that?
Yeah, you didn't know that.
Oh, no, I didn't know that. And
Okay.
I've read lots of.
So
quotes
I'm going to
and
say, if I was to come back again, I'd come back as Einstein.
Thank you. That's incredible. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Success is a System with Charlie Mullins. Now, one of the things I say about success is repetition is the mother of success. Don't listen to this once or view it once. Do it again and again and again, because I can tell you there are loads of snippets in there that can transform your life and transform your business. If you've enjoyed it, like, share and subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you again on the next episode of Success is a System. Thank you.